we don't share what the ambassador of United Nations of Venezuela said about the drugs in Venezuela, that we didn't have any drug problem. That's not true. Maybe it could be, I know, I suppose 40 years, 30 years ago, but in this town, in this moment, is, I think, the first public problem we have in Venezuela, the first one. Number one. Yeah, the number one, okay.
This is the President of the Republic.
Estos son unos roedores.
And these are some rodents
Que significan los partidos tradicionales de la cuarta.
that represent the traditional political parties of the Fourth Republic.
Y abajo hay una bolsa de dólares, ¿no?
Underneath is a bag of dollars.
Y aquí este es un canal de televisión que es RCTV.
This is a television channel called RCTV, and the back is Global Vision, and this is Justice, who is naked.
Ella está desnuda.
She's naked and she has one eye open and one eye closed. In the United States, Justice normally has, she has her eyes blindfolded, and she has a scale and a sword. Here, this one is naked.
Pero aquí no, aquí está.
In this version, she's naked, like you can see, and she has one eye opened. She has the scale, but I haven't made it. I'm working on it. And in the scale, she has on one side a socialist, and the other side some dollars or dollar bills.
Y aquí es CNP.
Here is CNP is the National Journalism School, and these are the people. The people who are asking for justice.
El Centro de Atención Integral Luis Jordán nace.
The Center for Integral Attention was born out of necessity from the city when we found that in the streets of Caracas, the capital, there was a large number of indigenous people. This is where the initiative was born by the governments to create a center for attention for people who lived in the street. At this time, they didn't have the enough strategies and they overlooked all the steps that were necessary to provide housing for the indigent people. This is when the center opened 2 years ago. I find a lot of people who did not fulfill the requirements to be in the institution. It was a melee, chaotic, and this is when we create a series of norms or rules, and we defined the road that the center shall follow. We transferred psychiatrist patients into centers of rehabilitation or homes for rehabilitation. Then people who were suffering from alcoholism, we also transferred them to special treatment centers. And we only kept people between the ages of 18 and 45 who suffered problems of addiction. This is when we take a professional team and we establish contact with other institutions that have dealt with the same problems to provide help to drug addicts. This is when we're finally able to start the process of rehabilitation. We found all kinds of addictions. Young people who left home at an early age because they lacked attention. Young people with family issues. And professionals who suffer from addiction. We also found that according to the rules, the center should be for the attention of those people in situations of severe addiction and homelessness who lacked family support. Because those who have the family support, they can find either government institutions or semi-private institutions to provide them with help in an ambulatory level as outpatients.
Other participants in our panel will tell us a little bit about their work there. When we start over here at the end, tell us a little bit about what you do at the center and why you think it's so important to be here.
Well, the importance of the center is to provide the help to this vulnerable population, which is the youth afflicted by drugs. They put themselves through this process for detoxification, for detox, and to re-enter society clean and sober. We approach each problem, each person's problem, and according to the progress they make, it is very important to mention that family support is very important in the process of rehabilitation. because the majority of them lack family support. But that is where social workers from the institution come in.
Tell us a little bit. Let me ask, how do you go about finding family members when there's no obvious members of the family?
Okay, ¿cómo haces para tú encontrar a estas familiares cuando vienen aquí solos y no tienen?
Bueno, mira,
Social workers are in charge of finding through the national identity card, the number of the national identity card, to look through the register's offers and locate the last known address at the time the ID was provided.
identificación donde se ubican por su número de cédula, qué dirección tenían cuando se les pidió su cédula.
The national register contains the last known address of the people at the time they received their national identity card. And this is when the social promoter takes all the information with the last address of this person, last known address.
And do you go or do you send somebody to go
¿Tú
to
vas o tú envías a alguien a
Sí,
buscarlo?
un equipo de promotoras.
A specialized team of social workers
And what do they do?
visits.
They go and actually knock on the doors?
Y entonces, ¿qué hacen? ¿Van y tocan la puerta?
Sí, bueno,
Yes.
se hacen las visitas
They-
domiciliarias
they-
a la dirección.
They pay a visit to the family, to the last known address.
Cuando se ubica el grupo familiar, se mete
When
casos,
we
se
find the
archivados,
family, each social worker takes a case.
acudimos a
When we cannot find an
otras,
address,
por ejemplo, a la prensa,
we-
sacamos fotos de
we
los
go through
muchachos.
other mediums, such as the press, by publishing a photograph of the patient and calling for any information anyone can provide. This has provided us with great results.
De 10 que
Out of
busquemos, de 20 que
10 or
busquemos,
20 that we publish, 12 will provide positive results.
Let me ask another, thank you. What is tell us what your role here at the center is.
¿Cuál es tu rol en este centro?
Well, I am part of the administrative team and coordinator team.
Institutional coordinator.
And what do you do? What kind of work do you do?
¿Qué clase de trabajo haces aquí?
I supervise and I coordinate the center.
And how long have you been here?
¿Cuánto tiempo tienes aquí?
Well, I just started, but I have worked here before many years ago.
What did you see different from then to now?
The first time I was here, there was a very different kind of problems. Different addictions.
And have you seen it change now now that you come here to direct? What do you see? How do you see it?
¿Qué es lo que ves ahorita? ¿Cuál es el cambio que ves ahorita?
The biggest change I see is how young they are, how much younger they are.
And what is this? Is this enough? I mean, when I look around the neighborhood, this is a poor neighborhood.
Que es pobre.
More than I've ever seen anywhere before.
Más de la que él ha visto en antes, en otras partes.
Is this center making a difference? Can it actually make changes?
Y es que
Small
este centro
center.
está haciendo, este pequeño centro está haciendo diferencias reales.
Anybody take it? Anybody want to answer? Would anyone like to answer?
Que si alguno de ustedes quiere responder eso, que si
How does a person who's been living on the street react when they have a good meal?
No, ya hay un cambio.
They change.
¿Cómo influye?
They change.
In the street they eat garbage. Here they eat very well.
Beautiful. Very unique. Thank you very much.
Uno de nuestros propósitos es
One of our biggest purposes is to pay attention to the most vulnerable zones that have this kind of addiction problems. This is precisely why the center is located between two very poor neighborhoods, where the majority of the neighbors in this situation are poor.
What do people say? People in the community who walk by every day but who don't come in, do you know what they think? What do they think when they go by here?
This is great that they now located a center that can bring solutions to the problem suffering from drug addiction and for the all sorts of social problems, because they are driving them crazy. The expression of the people are, oh, this is great, put them in there, treat them, help them.
Well, tell us a little bit about what do you face? What kind of drug problems do you face?
Well, generally the problems that we have are young people who are drug addicts and alcoholics. That's the majority. And malnutrition. Precisely when they come in, that's when the team makes an evaluation, a very organic evaluation of the patient. Before, in the 90s, 70s, 60s, 80s, the biggest drug that was consumed was marijuana. It was a very, very well-known drug, but it didn't have the effects that other drugs have. It doesn't cause such as bad effects because it is a natural drug, it's an organic drug, and it is even now used in therapies or in medical treatments. Yes, exactly. It helps people with medical problems. As globalization came about in our society, other drugs come into place. All kinds of drugs came into the market. We have even very, very young patients with bad addictions to heroin, severe addictions to heroin. We can consider this a result of the phenomenon that is happening to all humanity, especially to underdeveloped countries, that in the middle of all this globalization, we have now drugs, and that's when you see a 13-year-old child with an addiction problem to heroin. It is now accessible to them.
Now, heroin is particularly difficult drug to treat. Which is the most difficult of all the drugs you have to treat, of all of them?
La heroína es difícil de tratar. ¿Qué consideran ustedes? ¿Cuál es la más difícil de tratar?
Heroin is one of the most addictive drugs. Also the stone, as we call it, or crack.
Which has the most negative effect on family?
¿Cuál creen que afecte más negativamente a la familia?
Of the drugs, I would think that the stone or the crack is, crystal as we call it, any other name you call it, is the most accessible to people with lower economic resources, is the most affordable.
But we have a few minutes left. I wanted to ask about the politics. And I know everywhere I've gone in Venezuela, there's a vast array of opinions. Everybody has a different opinion. On the government, on the changes. Taking that into account, we don't want to be propagandistic. Just tell me what you think. What do you think? Do you think that has the government been responding better or worse?
Gobernantes de hoy en día, el gobierno está respondiendo mejor o peor.
Yo considero como ciudadana de este país.
I think as a citizen of this country that the government has responded positively, affirmatively from the government, from the national government. It has been a very good response. They have responded socially, economically, educationally, and healthcare. In general, it has been a very good response, and a lot of old patterns have been broken.
Are you getting the funding? In the United States, we always talk about funding, the money. Is there enough money? Is that the most important thing, getting enough money to run the center and to expand its work? Same problem.
Well, one of the plans that the government has is a campaign of self-awareness. And we need to move towards more of a socialist road so we can all live equally. So through this campaign of self-awareness and co-responsibility will make us look for money, because we realize that we already have the resources.
You avoid going after money just for you, you're saying. You avoid just saying money for us alone.
Okay, o sea que
The
evitas estar
competition for
diciendo
money.
voy a buscar dinero solo para mí.
Right.
Porque existe la autogestión.
Because
we call it autogestion.
we have self-sufficiency. We help each other.
New industries, all
Cooperate together.
Y así hay un reparto equitativo.
And there is an equal distribution of services, help, and equality.
All right, we just have a minute. A few last words.
tus dos últimas palabras.
A few last words. What you like
¿Qué
to
tú
say?
quieres decir en dos palabras rapidito?
Bueno, que lo invitamos a que
Well,
vengan a
that we
Venezuela,
invite you
el
all
país más
to come
hermoso
to
del mundo.
Venezuela, the most
She invites
beautiful
you to come to
country
Venezuela.
in the world.
Aquí tenemos mucho amor para todos,
And we
para
have
exportar.
lots and lots of love to export anywhere.
Last word.
Estamos en este momento en un proceso de cambio.
We are in the process of change. We are going through a movement of change
Hacia un rumbo
towards
socialista.
a socialist end that will allow us all to live equally.
The last words.
Yo, tus últimas palabras.
Bueno, abiertamente
Well,
aquí
openly, I would like to show you the institution, to offer the institution. We're here working as teams of professionals, including the doctor right here. And we hope that she continues to bring all the support that we need. I understand that there is a great concern from the government in relation to the problems of this nature. That is why the government has organizations that deal with security, such as ONA, which is the National Organization Against Drugs, and or as well public institutions, health institutions that treat drug addiction and try to eliminate drug addiction. Any help, cooperation or initiative that works towards solving the problem will be very welcome.
Is there, in your opinion, a drug problem in Venezuela?
¿En tu opinión hay algún problema, hay problemas de droga en Venezuela?
Venezuela is really not a consumer of drugs. Venezuela is mostly a road for the drugs to live. For us, it's more of a security problem. The drugs come from Colombia, and Venezuela is simply a road to transport, mainly to Europe, which is quite a drug-consuming culture. From a consumer point of view, no. Statistics show that Venezuela has very, very low drug consumerism. Although it is low, it is quite worrisome.